Hi there. Thank you so much for joining me for Startup Q&A. For this episode, someone asked, hey, what are the pros and cons, mostly cons, of outsourcing your MVP development? For me and what I've seen, there are some awesome companies. One of the people that I've met in the startup ecosystems, Justin, he works for a company called 10 Rocket, and what they do is it's $10,000, and in 10 days they'll give you their MVP development or your MVP, and they outsource it to a bunch of other coders, and they have a really awesome process. And if you want to work with the coders after that to go a little bit deeper than the MVP, then you're allowed to do that, and you have to arrange something with the coders themselves. And I think that that's a really valuable, can I say it again? Valuable service and a product that people really love and entrepreneurs really love, because if there's no other way to build an MVP, like giving away a piece of your company as having a technical co-founder, then you might need a service like that. You might need a service. Our service does something similar where we work with startup founders and we exchange equity in result, they get an MVP or they get some coding help, kind of like a technical co-founder, if you will. However, the downside of that is what happens is that you end up, when you bring on a technical co-founder, if they don't use the same code base infrastructure, it's going to be a struggle. Not only that, but if you outsource it to the wrong MVP development company and they do it in, let's say, Ruby on Rails, but your technical co-founder who you really like, who you want to give 50-40% of the company to, and they don't know that, then you really have a culture fit. You even have a mission fit, but you don't have a development code fit. And that will kill a startup. Another thing that'll kill a startup is if you have this base and then you bring in a bunch of people and they have to basically recode it from scratch, because some people, not everyone, but some coding dev shops will take shortcuts because they're trying to build an MVP quickly and they're trying to build something that looks really good to the consumer, to you and your own customers. So when you go to actually build that out and expand it a little bit, you sometimes have to go back and rebuild some of the things that they did, because not that the shortcuts were bad, but in an MVP, you're basically just clinging things together. And when they fit, and it's awesome. But when you go back, you want to refine it, you want to add product features, many of them won't do it, especially the ones that you'll find that do it for way less. $10,000 is pretty cheap. Some of them will take equity like we do, but someone who's charging $2-3 grand, one, either your product is not going to work as intentioned if you find that you have a very valuable system. On the other hand, it just won't be good when you go to expand that. And then the last point is a con to that. When you are about to change something or a feature request comes in from 100 of your customers and you only have 150 customers, it can be really difficult to either save up the money, have it top of mind if you have a CFO mindset, if you have a bookkeeper, to have it top of mind that you're going to need to rehire that company, the people you use for your MVP development. You have to hire that company again. And that is something that's a whole nother issue, because what if they're not together? What if the person who worked with your project personally is gone? What if the whole team is gone? What if they get bought by another company? Then you got to pay more. There's just a lot of different things that you might want to do a very small feature, and it turns into a whole different process. And also, they might not be ready to take on things that are outside their MVP development skill set. So really, the pros of having it is the cheapness, but the cons of it is more of the follow-up, the updates, the feature creeps, the product management. If you're not a product manager, you might need someone who's really good at talking to customers and turning their ideas into something that's really impactful within your product or service. So that's my reaction. I don't have anything against it. Like I said, we do that for other people. However, we do some follow-up. We do help with product management and things like that. But if you're just going to someone, getting an MVP and then skating out the door, definitely use a service like 10 Rocket. They do great work, and it's work that they're willing to stand behind. Don't outsource it to someone that you cannot meet in person or is kind of shady or doesn't like to do after work afterwards. You need someone who's worked on your product, who is willing to do some after work. Like I said with TinRocket, they will work. You can work with the same person that did your MVP code base later on. You just have to pay them in a different way. So that's my input. I'm not saying don't do it. I'm saying really think about it, really evaluate. And if push comes to shove, just hire my friends at TinRocket. Oh, this isn't an ad, by the way. Like, I just know them and I really like what they've put together, and I know people who've used them before. And so I'm not a customer of theirs, but they also didn't pay me for the ad. But this is basically a TinRocket ad. So see ya.